crossing there. Let's go the other side.
His Excellency Ndayishimiye for the wonderful work he has been doing for the last 2 years, as you heard. You heard his exhaustive speech talking about this problem of Congo, but in many ways, that problem of Congo has been similar to other problems in Africa since independence. We had a long discussion inside among ourselves, and I was telling Their Excellencies that I had been watching the situation in Africa as a close observer and also a participant for the last 65 years. When this problem of Congo started, we were watching. It was live on TV. They had elections in 1960, and there were two camps. One camp was of parties which were sectarian, based on ethnicity. The Bakongo, Chombe of Katanga, and so on. Lumumba had a party called MNC, which was a party of unity. You could call it a patriotic party. He won the election, but he was killed. And from that time, Congo has never been stable. There was a huge rebellion by people called Simba. These were peasants who were supporting Lumumba. They were not well organized, but you could see they were popular and very angry, but also not disorganized, believing in witchcraft and so on. The problems went on. When Mobutu came into power, the internal problems of Congo continued, off and on. Katanga, then the rebellions of 1978, somebody called Nathaniel Mbumba. Now the problems were, you could see, we who were watching, you could see that the problems were really two. Not listening to the populations, of Congo. The government which was there was not listening to those people. But also depending on external support, military support. When Mobutu came in, he was being supported by the UN forces. Then the French, Giscard d'Estaing sent French army there. Then Morocco, then so on, so on. So those two parts. Not listening to the local people, but depending on external support. As long as I have external support, I don't care about the internal. That was, of course, was not only in Congo, even here, that was the problem. In Uganda, that's why Uganda had become a failed state. And in Sudan, that was the problem. Khartoum was not. So it was a big problem of politics of identity, tribes, religion, not listening to the nationals and depending on external support. Now, His Excellency referred to it, the new dimension, and also not caring about the neighbors. Mobutu never cared about the internal people of Congo, nor did he care about us. He didn't care. And he was supporting groups against Angola, Savimbi, Holden Roberto. They were in Congo against Angola, against our view. Because at that time, we had an anti-colonial effort. But Mobutu was on the other side. So don't listen to the internal, don't listen to the neighbors, and depend on external support. Now the collapse of Mobutu came. Meanwhile, in Rwanda, Burundi, there was now another problem. The problem of ethnicity, which had come up towards the independence of Burundi and Rwanda. The conflict, the artificial conflict between Hutu Tutsi, which had resulted in the massacre of the Tutsis in Rwanda in 1959. That massacre of the Tutsis generated a Tutsi diaspora. That's how these people like President Kagame, they were here, came here as young children. I think Kabarebe must have been born here. That big minister. That big minister Kabarebe was born here, in exile. In Burundi, the crisis was postponed because there were patriotic leaders with a movement called UPRONA, led by Prince Louis Rwagasore. They kept the Burundi people united, so they didn't have the crisis or the same problem. But Rwagasore was killed. Rwagasore was killed. Lumumba was killed. Rwagasore was killed. You say Mure, Français killing you. What is killing? Assassinate, but they are there to murder, to kill. Mure, to kill. We had said the word inside there, I forgot. To kill, to die. So, Rwagasore was killed by a white priest. He's a deputy. Rwagasore was a Tutsi and a prince. He was a prince. He's the deputy. Njana Ndumwe was a Hutu. Was killed also. So UPRONA was beheaded, decapitated. I also have some few French words. Decapitated. So now some other people who were confused, Michombero, came in 1960, 566. 66, which was there. What you people you call history, I call current affairs, because all these were, I was watching. So Michandero came in now, he said now, for the Tutsis to survive in Burundi, they must kill the Hutus and they must monopolize power forever for their security. So that's how now the problem of Burundi now also became more or less like Rwanda, especially in 1972. That's what there was. Now, the Tutsi diaspora from Rwanda who ran away to Uganda, Congo, Tanzania, there were very many there, organized. And we tried to negotiate with Habyarimana. Habyarimana, please let these people go back to their country. Habyarimana said, no, there's no space for them. Rwanda is too squeezed. So these fellows, impatient, they organized. His Excellency referred to it here. They attacked Rwanda. We tried to negotiate to have a peace. But now Mobutu intervenes now in Rwanda now to support Habyarimana, to support the Hutu extremists. That's how now the problem of His Excellency referred to it. That's how the problem of Congo now, which had its own internal problems, is now linked with the problem of Rwanda. Mobutu's army was defeated in Rwanda, and together with Habyarimana, as His Excellency said, the army of Habyarimana was destroyed. Then they fled into Goma. We appealed to Mobutu to disarm them, we wouldn't listen. Because he thinks the internal forces don't matter, we the neighbors don't matter, what matters are the foreigners who are supporting them. This really, you better focus on that. Because otherwise, why was Mobutu not listening? We were here, we could have helped him. So, that's how now the problem of Rwanda gets linked to the problem of Congo. When the Tutsis organized and attacked the Hutus in Goma, and then it led to the collapse of Mobutu. So that is this whole story. But it is solvable, because here in Uganda we solved it. We had the same problems. Sectarianism of religion, sectarianism of tribes. But we exposed that misanalysis. Why is identity important? More important than interests? His Excellency referred to it in his speech. Why don't you look at trade and exchange of goods and services and building the economies for the whole area instead of tribes, religion? So we had a long discussion when we were inside there. I want to congratulate again His Excellency for the good work he has done. You had the elaborate report he gave. We are now going to, we know what the problem is. This can be solved. All of them, we sit here, we can solve them. Because this is, we are ancient people of this area. We are not new arrival. There's nothing we don't know about all these countries: Rwanda, Burundi, Eastern Congo, Tanzania, Kenya. These are for our people. So therefore, let's really solve this problem, which is easy. In my opinion, these problems are easy to solve. They are not difficult. What is difficult is three mistakes: philosophy, ideology, strategy. Once you make those mistakes on those three, then that's how a small problem becomes a big problem. So I thank everybody for coming, responding to our invitation, and I thank His Excellency Ndaishimiye for shepherding this work in the last 2 years. So let's see what we are going to do in this phase, because we know what the problem is, and it can be solved. But we must have the political will, and the foreigners should limit their involvement, because the foreigners are the ones who carelessly embolden the mistake makers. Then the mistake makers think that we don't care about these internal groups, we don't care about the region. What is important is the external support. This is the problem I have seen here. I thank you, and let's now